Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the checkout. I'm Simon Rentner.
So nerve-wracking.
Ooh, and I hear some sound in the background of our guest coming soon.
Your camera better not look
Yes,
weird.
the year has been a little bleak, and here, I'm going to mute you a little bit. There you go. What's up, everybody? Simon Rentner here. We know the year's been a little dreary, but thankfully, I think things are looking up, right? Things are looking up. In the past year, we've seen some of our beloved jazz venues close down. However, there's one nonprofit that's shown a glimmer of hope and given us solidarity, especially the musicians living in New York City during this difficult period. The Jazz Gallery on the 5th floor, that's at 1160 Broadway, have continued to present the jazz stars of tomorrow in inventive and virtual settings as part of their lockdown sessions. And go to their website right now, jazzgallery.org, to see their events, including tonight, the guitarist who I've featured on this show, and one of my favorites, Nir Felder. It has a powerhouse trio with the bassist Matt Penman and drummer Eric Harland. Yes, please give me some of that. Beginning at 7:30 p.m. tonight. And right now, I'm so thrilled to welcome its artistic director, who has been indelibly linked to the Jazz Gallery from the very beginning, the passionate, the visionary, the relentless Rio Sakairi. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much.
Hey, Simon. What an introduction. Thank you. But yes, that is I.
that is I.
Yep,
the relentless Rio.
Yes.
And that might be your new nickname, right? Especially during this period.
Yes, it could be. Yes, definitely. Because, it's been challenging, to say the least.
Yeah, so I want to get into the backstory of you and tell a little history of the Jazz Gallery in general. But since we went there already, because I know things at the very beginning of the Jazz Gallery were extremely difficult. Are things harder now for you as an organization, or in the early days, say 25 years ago?
I think that the nature of difficulty has changed, right? In the beginning, it's just about pure survival. How do we keep this place open? And do you remember Dale Fitzgerald?
Of course.
He was the founder of the Jazz Gallery and also a manager to late Roy Hargrove. Those two are having a party up there right now. So Dale really, put himself into the Jazz Gallery early on, spiritually, financially too. And each month, at the end of the month, he will turn to me and say, "Yeah, Rio, I don't know, we could do this next month." I would say, "Come on, Dale, we could do this." And I was so irresponsible in encouraging him that, let's just do this end of the month, so it'll be fine. And
encouraging him into bankruptcy.
Something like that. I mean, in the end, before we had a new current executive director, Janet Lowers, came on, and she is a not-for-profit management financial whiz that we have that financial stability that I have never experienced before my time at the Jazz Gallery. So, we settled the debt with Dale, and it's all cool. But, in the beginning, just there's such a uncertainty. Can we do this tomorrow? But the whole time I've been at the gallery for 20 years, even when we had to move the place and we don't know when we're going to be presenting the shows next month, somehow we never canceled any show, right? The whole time. And so when COVID hit, that was the first time in my 20 years at the Jazz Gallery, we had to cancel the show, for over a year now. And then, at least in person. And, that was emotionally a little difficult. But then we had to pick up the pieces very quickly because we run as a not-for-profit, and part of a large amount of income comes from our membership program, where our members pay annual fee to, help support us. And we get them a little discount and perks, but really those are the people who likes what we're doing. They want to support us, so they become members. And we did not want to lose them because I mean, it's understandable, right? Everybody, back in last year around March, April, nobody knows what's going to happen. For a lot of people, they don't know if they're going to have, money coming in next month, 2 months from now, and supporting a not-for-profit jazz venue is probably, low on the list. Totally understandable, but it's for our survival too. So then I'm like, okay, what can I do? What can we do to keep them engaged and keep the community going? Because also money is one thing, but also, you are, I'm sure, experiencing this too, but being isolated from your community, not being able to see each other was really hard on everybody, because everybody who's in this music, jazz is such a people music. It's a social music. It so needs people and interaction, each other's energy, and these things are so important to the art form, to the community, to the audience members. So then we had to quickly think about, okay, we need to do something online to keep them engaged. So I think the first thing that we did, at the end of March, was we started doing this happy hour. We'll sell maybe 15 to 20 tickets, keep it small, but we have a musician hosting the happy hour. And I told them, you could do anything you want. You can talk, you can do, I know Walter Smith did a magic trick. We play some game, anything, just for us to get together and talk to each other and, just sort of checking with each other. That was the idea. And then from then, we also did dance parties. We had artists, like Jaleel Shaw, Ben Williams, Terry Lynn Carrington. We took turns, being DJ. And it was a little weird because you see all this Zoom squares, and some people are really getting down to it. And, a lot of family members come in, their kids come in. I remember Miguel Sinon's daughter, she's way into the Jazz Gallery dance party. So she's always there, but she's not really dancing either. She's just looking at everybody in the square. But apparently that was one of her highlight of the week early on the pandemic. And then we started doing
something tells me that jazz musicians aren't historically dancers.
But they should be. See, that's one of my pet peeves, right? It's
me too.
You should be able to at least move to the beat in a presentable way. That's helpful for their career.
Well, before we get started, I just want to let people see some music first. So let's see some of these. This is the amazing talent that you've nurtured and fostered, and some of the recent talent and some of these sessions that you've described, beginning with a Latvian singer-songwriter, Arta Jekabosone. Shout out to her. I think she lived in Brussels, Belgium at one point. Is that true? Or is that?
You know what? It's possible, but my memory is not great, so don't quote me on that.
Anyway, she is fantastic, and we're going to hear her right now. Thank you for joining us.
The lights go out and I can't be saved. Tides that I try to swim against have brought me down upon my knees. Oh, I beg and plead, singing, come out of the things unsaid, shoot an apple off my head, and a trouble that can't be named. A tiger's waiting to be tamed, singing, you are, you are, you are, you are, you are. Confusion that never stops, the closing walls and ticking clocks. Gotta come back and take you home. I couldn't stop, but you now know. Come out upon endless opportunities. And am I a part of the cure? Or am I a part of the disease? Singing, you are, you are, you are, you are, you are, you and nothing else compares, nothing else compares, and nothing else compares. Ah, 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 you are, you are, you are, 'cause you are, you are. Home, home is where I wanted to go. Home is home, heart is where I wanted to go. You is home, heart is where I wanted to go. And you is home, heart is where I wanted to go. And you is home, heart is where I wanted to go. And you is home, heart is where I wanted to go.
Very cool.
I love Arta. I met her through Leslie Harrison, who's one of your DJs at WBGO. And Leslie's
And
also
one of your founders, you can't leave her out in the
Yeah.
history.
No,
Shout
I
out
was
to
gonna
Leslie.
say, yeah, she's one of the co-founder of the Jazz Gallery. So she, one day emailed me. It's like, yeah, this girl is interning for me, and she's really great. And anytime I get an email like that, I'm always like, oh Lord, I hope I like her, because what if I don't like her, right? Like, what do I do? But then I listened to the stuff she sent me, and Arta was just, delightful, and she's such a great musician too.
I mean, what a talent, what a voice. Just incredible. Well, so this brings me to just sort of what I want to establish and let people know about, because I don't think a lot of people really know what the Jazz Gallery is all about. So just a quick crash course into sort of what you were what you guys do, like pre-pandemic especially. You're really offering 4 primary objectives. One, showcasing the youngest, brightest, most exciting talent on the jazz stars of tomorrow, as I said, and really being on the ground floor of that. And if Arta doesn't represent that, I mean, I don't know what does, right? I mean, what a talent. The other thing is commissioning new works, sometimes extended suites. We worked together on a John Ellis project that was premiered, and that you commissioned him, that he worked on for many years and performed at the gallery. In fact, you can go into our archives, you can listen to that show. And then also the mentoring program, where you link up some of the folks I would presume to be on your mentoring committee, which is the heavy list of names. We got Kenny Barron, Ambrose Akamusari, Jason Moran, Oliver Lake, Vijay Iyer, Esperanza Spalding, basically hooking up the young talent with some of these big name artists to give them counsel and in the cutthroat nature of this industry, right? I mean, it's no joke. And then the last part of it is what I'm trying to find it here. The giving rehearsal space, because rent is expensive in New York City. So it's difficult to find places to play and learn your craft, to develop as an artist, as a young artist. I mean, how hard is it even to find a space to rehearse? So, I mean, you really are like you said, you're building a community. You're a community-oriented first kind of institution, although people might not know that because of the programs that you present and the music that you present is so high level that people just think of you as presenters.
Right. I mean, which is great too, because the more people think of us that way, it's helpful for the artists who perform at the gallery. Do you know what I mean? Like, one of the first goals that I had when I started doing this 20 years ago was that I wanted to, like, performing at the gallery to mean something, because when that happens, it's really helpful to the artist. So then it's, I think the hardest part of my job is not so much knowing, who to put on the stage, but it's more about how to keep it at certain levels so that it's meaningful. But at the same time, I also, you mentioned 4 of the activities that we do, but also we present about 400 concerts per year, and we do 2 sets a night. And I really like to create the opportunity for especially the younger generation to like really play in front of the audience, because that's the only way this music, the people learn how to play this music and communicate using this medium. That's really the best way. And sometimes I like to describe the Jazz Gallery as the safe place to fail, because only, it's one thing to be in the rehearsal room with your teachers or your peers rehearsing. Things go wrong. You're like, all right, well, let's do that better next time. But it's entirely another thing to be in front of the audience. And, even if it's not a lot of audience, because oftentimes when the young artists are starting out, they might have, 10 people in the audience, right? I still remember the very first time Miguel Senan played at the Jazz Gallery some 20 years ago, after he was introduced to me through Yoswani Terry. And Miguel sounded amazing, but we had, 18 people the whole night, because he just got to New York and nobody knew who he was. But, he just having the opportunity to perform in front of the audience is really the key for the, development for the young artists. And that's, other things that we put a lot of emphasis on. And I think also, even the older generation of the musicians. So I don't usually approach above certain level, because our finances is such that I feel like we can offer a respectable fee. But then all the generation of musicians sees what we're doing, and then they understand that we're like the place to experiment. It's like a lab. So then, they'll come to me and say, hey, I have this new project. I'd like to sort of test it out in front of the audience. And, I would say, well, this is what we can pay. If that's okay with you, sure, I'd love to have you. So then, they're having the reputation of some place where musicians can do exactly what they want to do. Also, like, I mean, I never really started out thinking I'm going to nurture a young person. That was just kind of came out of the financial constraints, made it so that it makes sense for me to present younger musicians. But, having the idea of the space to be like a community center where people can come and really like figure out who they are as an artist. And now we have, someone like Henry Threadgill, or, before he passed away, John Hendricks used to, like to come to perform at the gallery, because as an artist to have the freedom, it's a big thing.
It is a big thing. And, I hope folks will realize, when we get on the other side of this thing, that we'll come to even support and cherish institutions like the gallery more, for all of the services you provide. And, you're not sort of living in this capitalistic kind of mold, right? You're much more you're more oriented in terms of the people and the community. And so I just want to let people know, if there's anybody watching, you can actually support a live stream concert during this difficult time period. You can become a gold sponsor for $1,000 contribution and a silver co-sponsor for $500. And by helping both the Jazz Gallery right now and helping artists that are obviously in need of supporting themselves during this difficult time. And we're almost, I can tell you again, I hate to be a reminder, a broken record on this issue, but things haven't changed. The music industry and the musicians that are in it are in a world of pain, like maybe even more now than ever before. So it's really important for us to be mindful of this as we get through this thing.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, we have we just saw Arta Jekabosone perform, who will be joining you for a live stream a week from now. So if you go to our website, jazzgallery.org, you can definitely get tickets for that event. And then tonight, Nir Felder and his trio with Matt Penman and Eric Harland performing, which should be absolutely fabulous. Totally. Should be killer, right? So I want to get back into your history a little bit, but let's listen to some more music here. Somebody that I'm super excited about, and I can't wait. Actually, I'm just going to invite him on the show right now. Michael Mayo, you got to come on the checkout. We gotta feature you, because I'm in love with your sound, and I keep hearing Michael Mayo in my ear all the time from all the cats.
He's incredible.
Singer from LA, and this is a video that he submitted for your lockdown sessions. We're going to enjoy that right now.
Okay.
Dopamine drip, honey sweet like forgotten molasses crawling down the bark of a once loved tree. Faded and strong, the crunch of fallen autumn under the feet of passers-by. It rocks at half a beat per minute, soft in its hardness, unyielding. Ancient glories seep from its pores, and finally it acquiesces to companion gravity, eternal and dying. By it rocks at half a beat per minute, soft in its hardness, unyielding. Ancient glories seep from its pores, and finally it acquiesces to companion gravity, eternal and dying.
All right.
Man, that's so incredible. Oh my God. After the first time I saw that on the lockdown session, because I have all the recording from on Zoom. So I just cut out the part and I just put it on the repeat. Like I listen to it all the time, and so much so that my kids can actually like sing the different parts of it. And they're like, "Mommy, can you stop playing it, please?"
That's some dopamine drip on repeat, right?
Oh my God, it's amazing. And then, so in the lockdown session runs kind of like a jazz MTV, right? We have 4 artists of different ages, different genres. So there's elements of discovery. So then when Michael was on, after we finished his video, we were like asking all this question, like, did you use click track? How did you do it? How many like layers? And apparently he just kind of free-handed it, so to speak, like no click track. He just started like singing the layer and he added another one. And then about 20 voices all by himself. Incredible, right?
And dabbling in some film editing too with creating that. Did he create all of that montage stuff himself?
He did all of that. He did all of that.
That's
amazing.
So cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it just shows just how industrious some of these artists are and adaptable, right?
I know.
So that's one of my other questions for you, because I'm sure you've seen artists thrive in all of these different elements. But what has really surprised you from artists during this period? Does anything stick out? Obviously, this video is one of them. You're like,
oh yeah, totally. I mean, so the reason why I started doing lockdown session early on was, this was early in the pandemic, where we can really get together in one room. We're not allowed to congregate, so that we can do live streaming from the gallery like that we're doing right now. So then I saw a lot of artists, doing the do you remember like when you go to the Instagram, everybody's doing the solo performance, but people don't have adequate lighting, adequate, microphone, they don't have adequate internet speed. So then I saw performance after performance, like solo performance that are not the contents of it, but quality was really bad. And I'm thinking, I don't like, why are you representing yourself in a bad light? And I get it. I get that they have this urge to perform and connect with people, but I just felt like, okay, so right now we don't have a capacity to do live stream, but I don't want to expose the artists that we're working with in a bad light. So then I thought, if we could do it like, MTV, where they can create the video as a product so that they have a control over everything, then like, it would be a whole nother thing. And then this is where like whole pandemic thing, there was a little bit of silver lining for me and for the gallery, is that, for past maybe 10, 15 years, I have been thinking about how to incorporate internet into what we do, but I didn't have time, no resources, but then I did not want to completely ignore it because, look what happened to the recording industry, right? They kind of they just took lightly, they thought the internet wasn't going to be the thing. And the recording industry completely sort of, flipped because they, people used to tour to sell the record. Now they make a record so that they can tour, which is like the whole, upside down. And I did not want that to happen to what I was doing, presenting music, but then I just had no idea how. And, I think that now the live stream is getting better because everybody's like understanding what works and what doesn't, and better equipment, better everything. But even then, I mean, I'm sure you agree with this. There's nothing like listening to live music in a room where it's happening. It's just not the same experience. I mean, I had this distinct feeling when Roy Hargrove first passed away. Roy's, one of our co-founders along with Dale and Leslie. I mean, you've seen Roy when he's on. There's this feeling like just like room expanding, everything levitates a little bit, just like, like that
stops.
feeling. Yeah.
Time stops. I still remember vividly to this day when he came to BGO, and he has this. He brought his big band to WBGO, and it was hilarious because they didn't even do a rehearsal, and they just came in, and he was outside on the street, probably smoking a joint. Can I say that? Anyway,
yeah.
And then
it's
came
legal
in.
in Jersey.
Exactly. And then he came in like, and this is in the time of live radio, where we're counting down to the second. He came into the studio with like 5 seconds left. I was like stressing out so much because I'm like, we're live. And then all he says is like, this is radio. And then he just played the most amazing just solo to start the set off. And like every note was in tune and was perfect. And I was like, he's clearly not human. Like Roy Hargrove is not like, he's
something else.
Yeah.
But I can relate, like the anxiety until the last second. And once he put the horn to his mouth, like, okay, this is why I continue to work with him. But so then, like he has few good recordings, but then none of the recording captures that feeling of being in the same space with Roy. So then my thing is, so then if you haven't heard the artist live, have you really experienced the artist? I don't know, And then I think when Roy passed away, I had this really sad feeling that, so when I had that realization, I realized that, so I thought that I knew Miles and Train and all these people through recording, but it dawned on me like, I don't know them at all. Like, what?
Yeah.
That made me sad. But so, so we have been doing live streaming because it does have its benefit. Like we can reach people all over the world. We're still creating the opportunity for people to play. But also, like, I like lockdown sessions because we give all the control to the artist. And then other thing is, I have this pet peeve about jazz artists where, I think I would say 95% of the population listen to music more with their eyes than with their ears. Do you know what I mean? So then I think as an artist, to be able to present yourself as a, just the visual part of it, like even in a live situation, I'm always like, you should think about what you wear. And I'm not saying like you have to wear suits, but everything should make sense. Sometimes you're wearing T-shirts and tattered jeans with what you're playing. it makes sense, like that kind of thinking. You know what I mean? I want artists to think like that more. And it's also interesting. So when we started doing this lockdown session with video, younger generation like Arta, Michael, they get it right away. It's like, oh yeah, I could do this, because they grew up differently than at least me. I don't know how old you are, but I grew up in. So, but
we're sort of on that cusp, the generational cusp where technology matters. Well, that's what's so insane to me. It's like as if there wasn't enough being asked of artists before the pandemic with how the music industry has shifted. And then to pile on top of musicians, they have to become now video editors and, like
producer and
other stuff. It's just like, it's so unfair. It's like, can artists just focus on their craft and being great artists? I mean, imagine that thought. But it's unbelievable. Well, I wanted to quickly touch upon your story, Rio, just because it is super kind of fascinating. And, it makes me believe in fate, quite frankly. Like it's a very fatalistic, in a good sense, story. So, and you immediately agree. So maybe you could just guide our listeners on that. How did that happen? I guess.
I mean, it's a bit of a long story.
We'll try to make it short, like all the key points, including the walk in Alaska, and if you did all the 500 miles. And did you see any?
I did.
And did you see any like polar bears or something? I don't know, grizzly bears.
Well, luckily I didn't see bear, but I did see salmon swimming, like against the current, and that was really amazing. That we're standing there by the river, like, oh my God, these salmon are actually swimming against the current. And somebody said to me, well, but that means that I think bear's around, so we should go. Like, oh, okay. We started pedaling, but I
can do. How about I do it for you, and you can correct me. Okay. So you're from basically sort of a suburb outside of Tokyo. You're sort of an aspiring musician. You have a background in piano and voice. You get accepted to Manhattan School of Music. You come halfway around.
New school.
New school.
Yeah, that's okay.
And you come to new school, and halfway around the world, your family must be missing you terribly, which is a whole nother story.
Yeah.
And you have basically created this life for yourself on the other side of the globe. And you once had visions as a young girl, presenting music at a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Well, right now it's like
something
pour yourself some wine.
Yeah.
Cheap wine. And then you once came in to do this benefit concert for raising awareness for AIDS by doing a 500-mile bike ride in Alaska of sorts.
Yeah.
And you brought some of your closest friends from the new school, some of the talent that you knew there, and put on this show at the Get Jazz Gallery, raised a couple of $1,000s, did the Alaska trek.
Yeah.
Came back, and Dale was like, I liked working with you. Do you want to join our team at the Jazz Gallery and present some of this music that you just did? And then the rest is history. So with all of that said.
Yeah, that's a very short version. Yes.
How was that? Did I do all right? Was that a good?
It's a good version, except that when Dale first asked me to come, he just wanted somebody to clean the bathroom, to set the stage, and take the money and all of that.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Wait, I was going to ask you. So, what is your worst job that you've ever had at the Jazz Gallery? Cleaning the bathroom, or was there a worse job?
Worst job is like trying to get the money out of people who don't want to pay. That's the part. I mean, the thing is, I was so happy to be around music, and my foot, because in my mind, my foot is in the music business. So I was happy to do like whatever that was needed to do. And, I take pride in the fact the bathroom at the gallery at 290 Hudson was always clean because I made sure I mopped the floor, like I took pride in that. But I have some funny story. So long story short, I started saying to Dale, oh, let's do this, let's do that. And Dale's like, oh, and then, next thing you know, he's just like, do whatever you want, which was incredible because, I just met Dale and he doesn't know me from anything, but somehow he trusted me with his baby because this is something that he started. It was also dear to him. And, he said, do what you think you can. And then I think that's where like my, thought about the fate and manifesting comes in because, I had this vision of what I'd like to do, like you were saying, I found this essay when I wrote when I was 12 about having a place like the community center or coffee shop where people can come and congregate, play music. So then I think that I must have really wanted it so that universe sort of set up the step for me to learn the skill and get to the place. And then, when I think about meeting Dale and how he trusted me from the get-go, it makes no sense, but I feel like that's where universe just give a little nudge to, help me along the way. And I'm not saying, like, I think that when you say manifesting, people misunderstand, like, just like you imagine something, it will happen. No, it's just what will happen is that you will give in and the step to make that, achieve that goal. And, I think that me meeting Dale's one of those things. And then along the way, when things are really hard at the gallery, and seriously, when I think about how things were maybe 10, 15 years ago, I don't know what made me say to Dale, oh, it will be fine. Because, in hindsight, it's super irresponsible, but I totally believed that it was going to be okay. And it was okay. And like I said, until a pandemic, I have never canceled the show throughout all this time. And I feel like I'm always supported. Doesn't mean it's easy, but I never had to live on the street or like none of these things. But there's a lot of lessons along the way taught me how to do this. Yeah.
Well, now it's perfectly clear to me. Now I know why, when we first met 20 years ago, why you were in a bad mood all the time, because you were dealing with people like me trying to get in for free all the time.
Oh my God, I have a lot of that. I have one funny story. This musician who remained nameless, this was when I was still like booking the place, cleaning the bathroom, taking the money at the door, like doing everything basically, right? And I will make $50 a week. But I'm sitting at the door and this guy comes up with, he had a lot of bags and umbrella. And he's just, it's clearly I'm there to take the money, but he ignored me and he went to sit down. So I'm like, you know what? He got a lot of bags. So let him settle down. And I'm sure he'll come back and give me the money. I waited about 10, 15 minutes and nothing happened. So I walked over to him and said, hey, it's $10 tonight. And he goes, oh, but it's my friends who are playing on the stage. And I'm like, I said to him jokingly, well, if that's the case, you should give me 20 then, because house was half empty. So then, but he wouldn't give me money. So I just let it go. And then later I saw him walking over to Dale. And then, they're talking to each other. And at one point, Dale points to me. And then they both looked at me. And then this guy's jaw dropped on the floor. And I immediately knew what happened was that he asked Dale for a gig. And Dale turned to me and said, oh, you need to talk to her if you want a gig. And then he came over. He's like, hey, so, I really like to play here. And, what I said to him was like, okay, well, send me your stuff, I'll check it out. But I'm thinking, obviously, Jazz Gallery is not a place where, people are making money. Nobody's making money. This is really, truly, labor of love for everybody who's involved. And you cannot give us $10 to support what's happening, but you want us to spend some money to put you on our stage. Like, I don't think so, And then this is where, like when I do a masterclass with young student at different university, you never know who you're talking to. You never know who's listening to. You always have to be on your, top of your game as an artist and as a human being as well, because, it could have turned out differently, but because he will give me $10, I'm like, I don't know if I want to support you.
I know. Well, talk about just a crazy story, but I'm sure that happens to you all the time. Well, I do want to talk about that because one things that I did also learn is you're obviously extremely selective with the musicians that you do bring into the jazz gallery incubator, the bubble, because it is this nurturing center, and you do offer all of these things. So you can't by nature let everybody in.
No, because I want
and so how many new artists just so we don't get artists hope up too much that are maybe watching this, like how many artists every year do you let into the jazz gallery bubble?
I haven't thought about that, but I think that like you were saying earlier, it is. Because when I work with artists, I don't want it to be one-off. Like if I let you in, I always look at it as a beginning of the long friendship. I mean, like a lot of people. So now when I go to different jazz festival around the world, the program literally looks like how it was at the Jazz Gallery 20 years ago. There's Vijay Iyer, Jason Moran, Lionel Luque, Gretchen Palato. I don't know. List goes on. Ambrose, Avishai, both Avishais, Yosavani, and this all these people had to start at the Jazz Gallery, and this is
not just bragging. Now you're just.
I had to, but I think that also when.
Oops. Sorry.
That's okay. Also, like when I let everybody in, then it's not. I'm not serving the artist that I'm working with. I think that. I don't know. I think it's important that, performing on the stage of the gallery actually helps the artist. And, I mean, I struggle with it because jazz is democratic, but at the same time, running a venue necessarily isn't, and how to make that work.
How so? In some ways, you are and because of your good, it's a testament to your good taste, Rio. You have slowly over time become sort of a gatekeeper, whether you've liked to be that role or not, which obviously must be very difficult. On the other side of the coin to that idea is and I've certainly felt this as well, because I feel like we're sort of the same age and came to New York at the same time. And I feel like in a very small way have been a part of sort of this larger story, this larger cultural history, the jazz history that's being told in New York City. And for you, and like, I remember being there. I mean, one of my best jazz gallery stories of all time is like straight came to New York, right after 9/11, and seeing Robert Glasper there in that space. And when he was like this, looked like a skater punk kid, and completely disheveled and unruly, and just coming to your space on Hudson Street with like 3 people in the audience, and then just would perform these transcendent 90-minute sets on the piano. And he already had the Glasper sound. He already figured that out. Right. And it was like, and he would basically hypnotize the room. And I'm like, is this a New York? I was like, is this normal? Is this a New York thing? Or is the Jazz Gallery really this special and weird, but only 3 people are here to witness this? I mean, it was for me, it was a defining New York moment of just the magic of what New York has to offer. Yeah.
I mean, definitely. I think it's a little bit of both, but just to, I don't want to freak you out, but I knew early on that I should record everything that's happening at the Jazz Gallery. So I actually have a recording of every single set from 2000.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And it's so much stuff. And we just haven't had a manpower nor the budget to like properly catalog them, but I have everything.
All right, I have some ideas, Rio. I have some ideas. You and I should talk after this. Seriously,
because it's like you said, it's a piece of history.
Well, speaking of which, okay, so this whole model, I don't know if you've thought about this yet, but maybe you have, maybe you haven't. I'm really curious. So, as you said, with the devaluation of this music from a recording perspective and a label perspective, and with streaming services like YouTube and Spotify and everything else. But now we have, and so musicians were making their money exclusively on gigs and touring, right?
Yeah.
Now you take that away, what's going on here? However, with the NFT thing happening, the non-fungible tokens,
Right.
by nature, your institution already was, when it was founded by Dale, had this idea of also presenting visual art too. It seems like you guys are naturally could position yourself in the NFT space to really actually bring some money into the organization. And I'm just curious, are you thinking about that?
We're not quite there yet, but that's an interesting thought that I'm gonna meditate on that.
That's why you and me should talk after this.
Yes, definitely. But yeah, I mean, definitely, yeah.
Okay. So anyway, enough talk. Anyway, anyone that doesn't know non-fungible tokens, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but definitely go on the Googles and look it up and learn something. So, but we're going to now hear some music from another, again, artists reinventing themselves during this difficult time, but in glorious ways. I don't need to even say anything more except that.
And when I hear you call so softly to me, I don't hear a call at all. I hear a rhapsody. And when your sparkling eyes are smiling at me, then soft through the starlit skies I hear a rhapsody. My days are so blue when you're away. My heart looks for you, so won't you stay? My darling, hold me tight and whisper to me, then soft through the starry night I hear a rhapsody.
Oh man! Every time I see cables near a bathtub, I always get super freaked out. But anyway, that the one and only Theo Blackman
Yes,
singing
amazing.
and with a melodica at the same time. I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever seen that either. So congratulations to him, and just I mean, we all love singing in the shower, right? So why not in a bathtub without any
Yeah.
water even? I don't think
Yeah.
there's any water in there anyway.
No,
so.
I don't think so. Yeah, I hope not. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, Theo, it's amazing. Like, so when we started in the lockdown session, by this purely by chance, Theo was the very first artist of the very first episode that we put the video on. And then the second we started watching his video, it was immediately clear. It's like, oh wow, like this is a thing. Like I always loved Theo, but just also he has a very great visual sense about color and structure and whatnot. And what he put together really like gave a depth and elevated the experience of listening to his music, which I guess I wasn't even, expecting. And it immediately gave me a thought that like, wow, this is like something everybody should at least like grapple with, like how to present yourself, including the visual on the internet, because internet is I started to realize that by doing, different events online, internet is a really weird place. It's oddly intimate, but then it's not. And I think, if you just try to put yourself performing like a recording of that, it doesn't communicate too well. It doesn't, I don't know. I think that you need an extra layer of effort to make it suitable for consumption on internet. And, Theo did just that, like, out of his pure instinct. But yeah, we're like, oh, wow. And I think we had Joe Ross, Tivon Pennicott, and Shine Maestro on the episode. And the rest of them are like, oh, now I don't want to show my video after that.
Theo making everyone else look bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I mean,
it's so hard. I mean, look, it's really difficult. I mean,
oh yeah,
it's expensive too to get like if to do it properly, get like a high definition camera, you probably should have lights, and then, it's like all these other things that you shouldn't be thinking about. But
yeah.
Yeah.
But we're in the new age now.
There it is. Well, do you think you'll continue to do these kinds of streams once you open up? Do you think, I mean, this is at the very least, it's been kind of a marketing tool for you. I mean, I feel like you've been able to at least expand your reach globally in ways that you have.
Yeah, I mean, between lockdown session and the live stream that we do from the Jazz Gallery, we actually I told you in the beginning that we started online initiative early on to try to like maintain the member that we have. But by doing all this activity, it actually ended up being that we expanded our membership, and now we have, we increased our member by numbers, but also, geographical locations. We have members in Europe and Japan and Latin America and different places. So now that we have supporters all over the world, we will continue to present things online, including lockdown sessions and also live stream. I'm not going to live stream all the performances because I still want to, keep the part where artists can still experiment and, explore things. Then I think that having a performance broadcast to the world makes you play differently. And I'm not really crazy about that either. So, we'll do both, try to find the balance. And then also, for lockdown sessions, like what I like is that, so in each episode, we always have 4 artists, and I program, someone young like Arta or Michael, where people are still not aware of them. And I also put in people who sort of like, more like middle of the center, and someone a little bit more avant-garde, whatever that means, an older generation. So there's a discovery, amongst artists, and also to the audience too. Like it's really helpful for the especially young artists to be exposed this way with other artists, and to the audience that, they might have tuned in because one week we have Bill Frisell, but then they discovered this other young artist. I think I had a bass player named Hannah Marks on the same episode. So then, a lot of people are like, oh, I never heard of Hannah, but she's great. So then, it's also help with our mission of supporting young artists that way. And then, like I was saying earlier, I want, artists to think about, how to present yourself. And this could be like teaching tool. In my mind, I'm envisioning that I like to raise money to create a program where I will pair up the, musician with, because there are all kinds of young artists in the city. So then, musician with maybe NYU film students and Parsons design student, for them to create a really polished music video. And then we can share that on lockdown. I don't know. I'm thinking about, keep doing it, but also it will be opportunity for them to experience and learn how to do these things, so they are, more well prepared for the being out there as an artist.
And I'm curious too. I was really surprised to learn that, because of your Japanese roots and being near a major metropolis, yet the Jazz Gallery and you haven't really entered that space in any like formal way, because I think it's mostly known that Japan is a supporter of jazz and the music, and so to me that would seem like that could be a natural synergy, but the fact that hasn't really happened yet, I'm just curious, do you have any thoughts on that, or why that may be? Or
I can't really speak on it, only because I came here when I was 18, and I don't have a lot of professional experience in Japan in general. So, but I don't know. I think that me being female kind of get in the way sometimes. That's the feeling I get.
That was actually sort of what I was leading to. We are celebrating women in jazz this month at WBGO. And so I didn't want to guess that could have been the reason. But so can you break that down more? Because I feel like maybe it might be harder for a woman like yourself to thrive in a space like this in Japan than maybe the United States too. Is that true?
I don't know if that's true, because, I think the hard thing about, even in the States too, like I have a certain feeling about me being in this container, right? I'm a female of color and an immigrant working in jazz. And sometimes I get this feeling like, is this working against me? I don't know. But, with these things, there's no sort of empirical proof. It's just the feeling, and then you see what other people are doing, and I think is this disadvantage to me. It's possible, but also the fact is, even if that's true, I'm stuck in this body, and this is what I have to make the best use of. So I'm always thinking about how can I take advantage of this. And I think that the good part of being in this container is that people constantly underestimate me, which allowed me to pretty much do whatever I want to do. There's no sort of expectation, or I'm sort of always under the radar, and I get to do whatever I want to do. And I think that it's with the Jazz Gallery, it's amazing how I met Dale, and early on he gave me the artistic reign of the organization, and I built something. And then so like now everybody who's involved in the organization likes what's happening at the Jazz Gallery. So then they continue to give me the support that I need to do, keep the gallery thriving. And I think, I sometimes when I do masterclass, I get these questions of, so how did you get a job as the artistic director? Like, no, I didn't get a job. This is something I created from ground up, which was also really fortunate for me, because if I were to like get a job in the organization at the title, I would have to make a point of how I could do things, and this is my vision. But because the way I was set up in my mind by the universe, that I built something, so I'm always supported. At the gallery, I'm 100% supported. So yes, externally there are moments that I feel like being a woman is disadvantage. But as far as what's happening inside of the Jazz Gallery, like I always, from the Janet to the staff to the board of director, they're always 100% behind me, and that's such an amazing. It's a rare thing. It doesn't really happen.
Yeah, well, you not only have the job as artistic director at one of jazz's institutions in New York City, but you've earned it. I mean, I don't know anybody else that has worked from the bottom up like you have, and to such a degree, to the point of even forfeiting your rent for a couple of months. And you're doing this gig while you had like 2 other jobs on the side. Yeah. And I mean, it's just incredible, the passion and energy that you've brought to the space over the years, and the care and love. And quite frankly, like, it's palpable, Rio. Like, when I've gone to your events and I see the musicians that show up, and just the overall energy and love in the room, it is something very unique. And so everyone that's watching this right now, if you haven't been to the Jazz Gallery yet, what are you doing? What are you doing, people?
Yes, like, what are you waiting for? Yeah.
Go when things get back to normal and things open up, definitely go to the Jazz Gallery. You can go to their website at jazzgallery.org. We got Nir Felder and his trio, Eric Harlan, Matt Penman tonight. Then we have Arta Jekabosone the following week, who we just watched. And I think we covered everything, Rio. Thank you so much for spending some time.
Having me. Yeah, it was amazing.
And so here we go. We're going to present one of another just fabulous, incredible video, a full 10 minutes of it, of Carolyn Davis, who has been on the checkout before. And if you want to learn more about her story, hopefully you can find that in our archives at checkoutjazz.org. But let's listen to her here, or watch her, and this incredible performance. Again, thank you, Rio, and see you soon, hopefully.
Thank you so much.
In the flesh.
Yes. Thank you.
Bursting with excitement.
Foraging change on a dime. Change.
Growing a mane.
The same lane. Fame. Direct me to the county line.
Great grandmother, did you imagine the color, the taste, the texture?
Higher, inside, burnt orange, rough, blue, slimy, red, bumpy, wavy, soft, grainy, pink, fluffy, smooth, purple, sticky, wet, black.
I'm here. Where? Great-grandmother, did you think about your anger when you told your daughter that dating a black man was against the tenets of this family? Where did it hurt? What did you feel? Fear? Was the fear that which I see? Puke. Puke! Green, with harsh mold all over it, not the good mold you want. Great-grandmother, my love, but the kind that makes you sick. Was it round? Was it rough? Did it feel embarrassing? Slow that down. Take a deep breath.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, Simon.